Hello. Today on the show, we're going to talk about Apple's Vision Pro, the pros and cons of this new crazy headset that we're going to talk about with Paulina and Molly on the Brew. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Lex, is that your initial prototype?
It's a prototype. I made it up last night. It obviously isn't the Apple Vision Pros, but they kind of look good, right? They're kind of Vision Pro. I think
you're supposed to say the pass-through on them is incredible.
The pass-through on them is incredible.
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
the jargon.
Okay, got it. So I already don't like them. You know why? Because this is annoying. I'm sorry, it's annoying. But
right, that's a thing. So tell us about it, Paulina. Like, what are these things?
Obviously, what the heck is going on here with this stuff? I know they're gosh darn expensive too. I saw that little problem as well. Anyway, have at it, Paulina. Tell us about this crazy.
Right. Okay, so Apple came out with this first generation virtual reality headset, and people are really pumped about it. So I wanted to break down the pros and cons and what people's initial reactions were. So let's start out by defining it and kind of understanding what it is for those who may not have heard of it. So what is this Vision Pro that Apple just came out with? Well, for people who first used the device, they kind of described it as having an immersive experience. So basically you're experiencing both the real world and the virtual world at the same time. So for example, you can, when you put the headset on, I never tried it, but this is what I've been reading. So you put the headset on, you see kind of, you can choose to play mixed reality games, you can watch live sports, and you can do this all while you're just walking down the street. So it's really interesting because you can do so many things at the same time, but at the same time, it kind of looks, strange when you're seeing somebody like type in the air. Like I saw some videos of somebody wearing the Vision Pro on the subway in New York, and they were wearing it and they were typing in midair, and they were like doing these things to click. It was really bizarre.
Oh, but can you see through them? Like if you put them on, can I see ahead too?
Yeah. So you're able to see like the video games that you're playing. Yep. You're able to see, for example, think of like a split screen, right?
Okay.
So in one screen you can, see a game you're playing. Another one you can see a live sports game, and then in another corner you're looking at the street that you're walking on. So
interesting. That is crazy. So I just went on a little ski safari recently, and I got as a gift a pair of goggles. These are not the ones I got, but I got a pair of goggles that have a heads-up display like right here. It's kind of similar to what this sounds like this Apple Vision Pro is. And what I could see is all the stats of my skiing, how fast I'm going, which direction, what the elevation is. I find it I was staring at that as I was going really fast, and which could cause a crash, obviously. So I couldn't decide if I was getting used to it or not. And it would turn off if it was going too fast. It would kind of eliminate itself. So I'm wondering if you're walking around with these Apple Vision Pros, you're gonna have these crazy people that are gonna knock into each other. Or imagine doing it in the car. Holy cow.
Is it going to be like a RoboCop thing where you're walking down New York streets and you can like date? You just get like guys and girls profiles, like open for business, call me, like, and you just like press a button and you forward. Who knows what's going to happen with these things? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, to your point, Lex, I'm sure it takes a lot of getting used to when you first put it on. I don't even know if it's comfortable or not. I'm sure it is, but I can only imagine how your attention span is so short, probably because you're looking at one area and then you have to pay attention to what you're actually doing, and then you see something on another screen. I was looking at, I read a Wall Street Journal article that covered this, and they were talking to a couple that had the Vision Pro, and he was like, at night, I'm not really into the shows, TV shows that my wife watches. So I'll put on the Vision Pro and
No way.
I'll just put on a show that, I like.
Perfect.
And yeah, so I guess
I love
there's
it.
some solutions there.
So wait, you can actually watch TV on these as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can watch
Oh.
TV, live sports. I need to send you some videos. There was this one video of this kid that was sitting on the court side of a basketball game wearing his Vision Pro, and he was like doing multiple things at once while he was wearing the Vision Pro. It was bizarre, but
wow.
Yeah.
So, okay. Molly, you going to get these?
I have the Oculus, but I'm coming for those. I am coming for those. Now, there's a whole talk about transhumanism and what's going to happen there. And, the screens are getting closer and now they're on our head. And then the chip is going to go into our brain and what happens there. So
here it comes. I'm ready.
What I do on the Oculus, I am a gamer. And I do, although I'm too busy these days, but I do have, I like those. I love the Vision Pro, and I like what they've done so far, and it's some really incredible tech. You can take your laptop and throw it up. You can't see your keyboard, so you're kind of typing in the air, but
But how does it know how, when you're typing in the air, how does it know which keys you're hitting? I don't get it.
Paulina.
That, I'm sorry, guys, that goes beyond me. I'm not in the tech field. I should look into it though. This is kind of like a high level look into the Vision Pro, but you can definitely do a deep dive into like the technology behind it.
It has 12 cameras, 5 sensors. It has 6 microphones. It translates that back to the screen in less than like 12 milliseconds, which is 8 times faster than the blink of an eye. So that's where the price point kind of shoots through the roof. They were adamant about not having these paddles. That's what you call them.
They're like flipper paddles?
Yeah, like, Oculus, you put your hands in these things, and Oculus, actually the new Quests out there are going to have, sensors also for your hands, but they put a lot of investment to make sure that it was just sensors for your hands.
Okay.
And it can see that in augmented reality. So what's the difference between VR, augmented reality, and all that? And I think these guys also call it, mixed reality. So across those, Paulina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, I think on Wall Street, what's really important that the analysts are looking at are how does this translate to Apple's sales? So at least in the short term, the Vision Pro isn't really expected to have a huge financial impact to the company's revenue. This isn't necessarily a device for the average consumer like other devices in its ecosystem, like the iPhone, iPad, and so forth. Since it's on the pricier side, it's $3,500 right now. It's considered a more niche product for a niche market. Some analysts are saying, however, that as sales expand into countries outside of the US, there's going to be more considerable international appeal for the headset. So I think it just came out. Of course, there's going to be a lot of hype, but we'll get a better idea in the coming months if it's still all the rage. I'm sure if the price comes down or there's more affordable versions that come out, the average consumer should feel better about purchasing one.
Yeah.
I read somewhere. Go ahead, Lex.
No, I was just going to say it's $3,500. It seems expensive. I don't know. You're right. Yeah, the average consumer is that's pricey. I mean, I think maybe I'm way off. I don't know.
I read somewhere that the margin was around 1,700, but don't quote me on that. So there's, but Oculus is lost like 16 billion and 13 billion the year before, and so there's probably some cushion there for further advancement. This is just the first model, and you know how those go. They look like the epic goggles that you're wearing, Lex.
Well, you mean these little beauties? Oh my god!
You dare take them off.
So what are the use cases for this thing? I'm trying to think. First of all, my reaction is that I don't think these are for me. I'm not a gamer anyway, so I don't have patience for that. But I don't know if I'd use these unless I
By
was.
the way, I'm just gonna date myself. So this is you're probably a lot younger, Paulina, but I was alive before the personal computer. My first cell phone, hold on, I'm getting a phone call, looked like this.
Why do I believe that, Gordon
Wait,
Gecko?
hold on. I'm doing my first podcast on this thing.
Oh my
Right?
God.
So so use cases for like, kids are growing up with this. So use cases is like throw that term out of the window because it's just a part of their life. But
That's
what are the use cases?
Well, besides having these otherworldly experiences with a headset where you can watch three things at once, all while having dinner with your family, I think it's expected that the headset will help with productivity in the workplace. At least that's what I've been reading from some of the analyst notes that I've read. From what I'm gathering, I think that it's like having multiple tabs open on your laptop where you can multitask.
right.
Just to give a visual, some analysts who have used the device already said that it'll take some getting used to, of course, when you put it on. So the adoption, I don't know how quickly it's going to be. It might take some getting used to because, as we said, there isn't a keyboard. You're just typing in the air, but that might be solved maybe with Bluetooth or something. I'm not really sure, but as you alluded to, Molly, there are some alternatives that are much cheaper right now. Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, he has a VR headset, the Quest Pro, that's much cheaper. So that could capture audiences at lower price points, making it more accessible to customers. So I think that there is a lot of interest given that Meta is in the space competing with Apple. And we know that Zuckerberg, he's been at the forefront of virtual reality, augmented reality. He renamed his company Meta from the metaverse, and he's been really bullish on investing in artificial intelligence. So I think that this is something that we're going to have to pay attention to. Maybe we'll be wearing it in our jobs at some point. These headsets.
Right. Poor Zuckerberg, he's been battling a couple of lawsuits lately. And so keep an eye on that because I think, there's some talk that there was some targeting for 13-year-olds and younger. And some of those accounts were backlogged to capture that demographic. But, that leads the question, how do these affect the development of a young person's growing brain? So I don't think we know the back end of this. And, I imagine it does affect the functionality of thought. And if things are coming at you versus you seeking out, that's a complete turn 180. So that'll be interesting to see the studies on that if they ever show us them.
Right.
Scan.
Interesting. Yeah, that's all. Those are all good points. The and Paulina, you mentioned that you don't see it being a huge driver of new revenue sales right out of the gate. Maybe as it adopts itself or it gains adoption, we see it a little bit.
Yeah, I think at least in the near term, there's not going to be a significant impact for revenues, given that it's pretty expensive. But I think that a lot of people from outside of the U.S. are traveled to here in the States recently when it debuted the Vision Pro because they really wanted to get their hands on it. So as the Vision Pro expands into international markets, I think we might see more of an appeal there. But I don't think it's going to make a dent in revenue
Right.
anytime soon. We might see in the quarters to come how much of a difference it'll make, but I'm not thinking it's going to be anything too significant.
And then Max brought up a really good point on as far as price point. So Max was telling me about a Nokia phone in the 80s, and he'll probably type it in here any second, the name of it, but that its first prototype was $3,000. And so a lot of these, there's some word on the street that that the Vision Pro was built to fail, so that in true Apple form, they get a normal arc construction of a new prototype, they try to save and make it, build with inside of economy so that they can get the product out. But these guys went for, like aluminum housing, incredible glass, and it's
Right.
just, and these battery packs, and it's in the R1 chip and the the M2 processor, and so they this thing's expensive. But as Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus, he was saying that his famous quote, he was being interviewed by Peter Diamandis, he said, for people to be able to afford this, they have to first want it. And so when you put this thing out, they probably, I think there was even word that they were going to produce less than 400,000 of them. When they put this thing out, that they kind of intend that they just kind of like dangle it in front of you, and then they'll work on, it's almost like, what was that, Club 54, totally empty, lines around the block just to entice buyers to step in. But I think one of the really things I like is the integration with a lot of my Apple devices, which is really incredible. And I do like the, you put on the Oculus, and the pass through is like a kind of, and I have an old version, so I'm sure the new one's much better, but the pass through, meaning like you can see your room around you, is pretty low grade, where when you put the Vision Pro on, it's absolutely incredible. It's almost, you can actually skate and, work on something. And what do you think? What do you think, Paulina? Are you going to go down and try one on? And what would be your use case?
Yeah, I definitely have to try it on, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. The use cases, I think for me, definitely from a work perspective, but I would love to see how I can experience, different things. Like people are saying that you would get an incredible experience watching live sports with, not live, watching live sports. Like instead of being at a game, if you use the Vision Pro, it's like you're sitting courtside.
Wow,
that's great. So I'm into Formula One. Formula One's my thing, and they have where you're watching Formula One, but when you're in the goggles, they have augmented reality of the full course, so you can see every car and where it is, and it's really neat. Wow. So that's neat. One concern is that it's being assembled in China. Apple was meant to start to step away from that, and iPhones have, their build has been moved a lot to India. So we've got a lot of bricks heavy assembly going on, and so we have to keep an eye over on what's happening there with the overseas. So
yes,
and then
yes,
I have one more question.
She's got to go. Let's make this quick. She's got a hard stop today.
Okay, one question. So I feel like laptop obsolescence is approaching. So when you can throw your screen up, and apparently, even if you're not, there are keyboards, so you can certain formats you can't see your keyboard, but other times you can't see your keyboard. So if laptops are gone, then just to think about when you're trading, that means different components. So there would be a heavier reliance on graphic chips and, more cloud-based. So hard drive, sourcing is probably going to go away. And so what does that mean? Who are the companies that source that? So the assembly is Luxshare, that's in China. And then we've got that R1 chip. Well, that R1 chip is being produced by SK Hyrix, Hyrix. So it's a good idea that when you're looking at, not only invest in Apple if you want to, but also look at all the components that go into a product. And then you can, create your own personal little quote list, an ETF that you invest in if you're into a certain product, which might be nice.
Paulina, hold that thought, because I know you have to leave.
Yes. Right? I think we should continue this conversation because there's so many components here, so many different players, and it's a really exciting topic. So I'd love to talk about it
Can I go, before you go, real quick, can I go to the Apple store and put these on and try them?
Yeah, just so you know, if you do that, it's going to take about a half an hour. The demo takes about 20 to 30 minutes. So just be prepared to.
I like that.
Some time.
I might get a free something or other. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And I dare you to, with them on, to try to run out of the store. I just dare you.
You never know. I could do that. I could try that.
Let's do a TikTok on that.
They tackle me. All right, Paulina, I know you got to run. Great to see you as always. You have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll tee this up again next week after my trial run at the Apple store. I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to sign up. I'm going to do it. So you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Paulina. Thanks, Lex.
Paulina. There you are.
It's pretty incredible. It's a wild thing, but there are a lot of benefits and a lot of things that we should also keep our eye on.
Are you CTing this at all, do you think? Or
I might just be a little bit. I just want to talk about a couple waves that are coming into this perfect storm.
Okay.
So
I might agree with you on this one, the CT version. Yeah. But I'm not sure yet. I don't see it replacing the computer. Listen, I could be wrong. I think, especially, certainly my generation is not going to want to walk around with these things on their face. No. I want to have a computer. I want to bring it to the, when I travel, bring it, blah, blah, blah. Do I need Wi-Fi attachment for this thing to work? What the heck? Don't I need that? Or no? Or is it cellular?
You're going to connect to the cloud. Yeah. So I'm sure there's probably things you can do offline, but
I'm going to go try to get a demo of this. Although I'm traveling this week, the end of this week.
You're always traveling, Lex.
No, this is the springtime's a tough one for me. But yeah, I want to go try this and I'm going to report back. Maybe we'll continue this up next week.
Yeah. So I think the thing to think about with some of this VR stuff is, you've got VR and you have, there's this really neat thing where they aren't even hiring cybersecurity anymore. Mm-hmm. They do this thing called bounty hunting. Oh. And what they do is, I think Meta had a $45,000 reward if you could just find one bug. If you can crack into our system, we'll pay you $50K, and that's just, you can repeat that. So if you keep breaking in, it's a full-time business. Wow. So they're concerned. And so if you think about the VR, then the neural lace technology like Neuralink, and then you also have AI coming online, and you also have quantum computation coming on. And so right now it's costly to do so, but what happens when the economies of scale make that accessible? So just things to be concerned about, but also you have to think about, everyone who is unable to walk. So paraplegics, you put VR on them and they grants them a new life. So there's incredible positive things to be said about it. And one thing I read recently was that neurological diseases, the cost of those actually eclipse cancer and diabetes and heart disease. And so what they're finding is, certain technologies can actually help retrain the brain after damage. So who knows? There's some pros and cons, and we just have to measure those out for ourselves and keep an eye on it. But it's exciting.
It's exciting. I'm with you. I'm gonna try it. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Okay. Well,
I'll tell you though, the Oculus, if you ski or you snowboard, it's this, you can literally heli ski, and it's this amazing thing. If you're a pilot, you can fly with the Blue Angels and you can go left to right and they're there. I mean, VR is just wild. And then with the Neuralink, it's called Deep Dive VR, and that's nuts. Cool. And I won't talk about simulation theory right now. I just won't go to Nick Bostrom. We'll do that another time.
Another time. All right. Good. Well, Molly, good to see you again, for gosh sakes.
I know. It's been too long.
It's been a while. You be good and have a good weekend, because it's actually Friday right now.
Correct.
Right? Correct. In our virtual reality, in our VR. All right. That's a wrap. Happy trading.
Call me.
Call me.